Hospital Port has pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV. Welcome to this, the 55th comments reply video. This is the video in which I get to reply to your comments, as the name suggests. Now, I do these videos because people put comments on my videos, and I don't have time to reply to all of them by text. Nevertheless, I feel obliged to reply to you when you take the time to give your opinion, your feedback on my particular videos. Therefore, this is how I do it. I do it by these comments reply videos, which I do every so often. I've actually let this one go a bit long, but I do them as often as I can. Now, you might think to yourself, well, I don't want to watch an entire video just to get a reply to one comment. You know, these videos are very long. I mean, they can be 9 hours, some of them. I just want to reply to one comment. I'm not going to sit around for 9 hours watching a video to get a reply to one comment. Well, guess what? You don't have to. Because underneath the comment I'm replying to, I will put this comment. It says, "Thanks for your comment. It will be answered approximately within the," and I say first, second, third, fourth hour, etc., of the upcoming comments reply video. So that timestamp will tell you within the video exactly when, to within the nearest hour, I'll be replying to your comments. You only have to watch the video for 1 hour. Another reason I do these videos is because I enjoy doing them. It's become like a series that has really taken off and developed a life of its own. I think it's fun doing these. I know a lot of people like watching them. I know some of you watch them all the way through. But then what's more, you know, they are getting shorter as well. These videos are getting shorter. I don't make them 9 hours anymore, because I used to do like comments reply videos every 2 months. I now try to do them every 3 weeks or so, depending on the number of uploads. However, I have let this one go a bit long. It's actually been like it's been an entire month since I last did a comments reply video. So I think to myself, well, it's high time I did one. In fact, you may know that I'm actually recording a little bit of this before the live stream, which happened at 7 p.m. It's now 4 p.m. I'm recording, so I might get a couple of parts done, a couple of 1 hour segments done before then. And then, because, you know, I don't want to let it go too long. This is probably going to be a long one. By my modern standards of my comments reply videos, it's going to be a long one. Say 4 hours plus. It'll probably be a two-parter. So anyway, I might even not do it all today because I've got the live stream to do later. Anyway, I'm trying to speak loudly. I'm also trying to keep the mic as close to my mouth as possible because I'm having a bit of trouble with sound levels. I've gone to settings. I've gone to all the different settings of the microphone, and I can't seem to raise the settings any higher. So I'm just going to raise my voice as much as I can. You may simply have to raise your volume. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's causing it, but I have done a couple of test recordings. I am audible, which is the main thing. Now, so let us go over to the comments and go straight for the last comment that was left since I finished the last comments reply video. And it is Fatman, spelt Phatamn. And it's on reply to comments, not 54, 53. Thanks to comment, he says here, reply to comments is a great idea and well worth watching. Hardly anyone bothers to do it, so hats off to you. Well, thank you very much, Fatman. Much appreciated. Getting a love heart. Kev Baker, R.I.P. Dean Yates says, sad news, but the dribble that has just come out of your mouth is unbelievable. Knew him well over a decade, went to Bilderberg 2013. The only passion he had was for money. The only shit he knew about alt media is what he stole off other people was a shady back. Oh, right, I'm deleting that. That's disgusting. Fuck you, you arsehole. I don't care what you say. Look, I think that's unfair for a start. Secondly, the guy's dead. Leave him alone. Piece of shit. Goodbye. Withrin Michaelis 6 discussing Satanism. Diego Rivera, genius. Sorry, Israel Diego Rivera, genius 2, the real genius. Another brilliant name. Who says here, have you ever attended any masked sex rituals, Ben? No, I haven't. No, I didn't. The nearest I came to it was playing strip poker when I was a kid at school, which we didn't go any further than our underwear. No, I've never been to anything like that. And, well, as appealing as it might sound on one level, I never would, because it's horrible what they do, the Illuminati and everything. Reply to comments 54. Charles from Project Camelot. First, he says, yes, you can't beat Charles. He knows. He doesn't have to click the bell icon. He knows when I'm uploading videos because he's got his mind powers on me. Sax Glenn says underneath, first what? Gary Robinson says, whenever Ben uploads a video, all of us tinfoil hat wearing losers try to be the first to leave a comment on the page. I know. And, as Charles says underneath, first comment on a Ben's video, it's like winning a trophy on here. Because he always gets it first, doesn't he? John Fuse said, 6th today, FFS. Dark Corners UK, 19th. Charles says to Crafty Nihilist, you did, Crafty, after everyone else had left. I can't see Crafty Nihilist. Now, Crafty Nihilist is actually, I think, they've privatised their channel. I'm not sure if it's still private, but I know there was a reason for it. I can't tell you. I had a private word with them, and there was a reason for it. Oh no, they're back now. They're back. Okay, so I don't actually know why I can't see their particular comment, but anyway. Jam Noise 72, hi Soul Sister, says, you are funny, Charles. Charles says, funny how? You mean like a clown? I'm here to amuse you, is that it? Charles says underneath, laugh, 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 to Jam Noise. And Charles says to Crafty, so that only applies to Ben's crowd, does it? And then replies again, talking, blathering nonsense all the time, so I'm told. I don't know what Crafty's saying here, because I can't see their comment, but there you go. Oh, and Gary Robinson says on reply to comments 54, evening Ben, mate. Evening Gary, how you doing? That was a month ago, bloody heck. Sorry to let it go so long, guys. Reply to comments 54, Jam Noise 72, can you talk? Haha. Oh yes, I can't actually. I can't. I'm not going to try and do a demonstration now. Maybe on the Christmas time when I'm drunk doing a video, I'll do a demonstration of my twerking. But it was funny when it was very funny, Jam Noise, when you phoned up that helpline saying, what does twerk mean, pretending to be a foreigner? What does twerk? I'm trying to work out what twerk means. And the person says it means waggling your bottom waggling your bottom in this particular way. Oh, she says, is those videos still on your channel? They're so funny. Spider Mausoleum says, in reply to Jam Noise, shill. Jam Noise says, no subs, sado. Yeah, I bet this person is a troll. Let's have a look. Yep, there's a completely blank channel. There's like a kind of weird, there's a kind of weird avatar. There's no banner, no uploads, no playlists, no subs, no faves, blank about page. Joined 18th of May 2021. So I think Spider Mausoleum has decided to join YouTube just to take the piss out of me. And as Jam Noise quite rightly says, sado. Charles says, oh, don't, because he'll try and do it. Oh, you'd have to get me. Oh, I'm not doing it on this video. If I get drunk, I will. Jam Noise, he already has, lol. Have I tried twerking? I don't know how good I'd be at it. Charles says, heavens have mercy. Now, that's something Charles can't do, can he? He may be a super soldier psychic gangster, but he can't twerk, can he? No, even Charles can't do that, yeah. Jam Noise, say hi to Bill for me, Charles. Oh, Bill Ryan. And Charles says to Jam Noise, you really know how to hurt a guy, don't you? He's still hiding out in Ecuador after his failed venture in art dealership. Oh, by the way, that picture on your blog, damn. Oh, right. Is this Jam Noise's channel? Oh, I know what you mean, yeah. I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Charles, yeah. Jam Noise says, oh, Charles, I didn't mean to hurt you. Sending your love too. Stop looking at my pic, lol. Charles, I tried, but it was just there. I saw it years ago, and it stayed with me. Fair enough. Winslow Burdette. Hello, Winslow. I hope you're well, Ben. This is on 54 as well. I enjoy these videos. Thanks, Winslow. I'm glad you do. I'm glad you do. Jam Noise says on reply to comments 54. I love you, soul brother. Big hugs. Oh, thanks, Jam Noise. Big hugs too. And Spider Mausoleum is back saying, Shell, Spider Mausoleum, go turn yourself into a cyborg. I think Jam Noise, I think Spider Mausoleum already is, you know. You can actually get troll bots, you know, that will just do this sort of thing automatically. 69 Phuket says on reply to comments 44, Faust. Yes. Don't sign that document, whatever it is, Faust. It's not worth it. You do deals with the devil, and look what happens. Reply to comments 54. Right. No, Ben, I'm not an atheist. I'm Catholic. I also believe in good scholarship, too. Oh, right. I must have asked you at some point if you were religious, Charles. Okay. And Sax Glenn says underneath, religion is a belief in imaginary characters. Oh, dear. Sax Glenn has read Richard Dawkins' book and is now uber sophisticated. Yes. Well done, Sax Glenn. That's really early 2000s. You know that. In fact, it's actually centuries old, what you just said. It's not exactly original, you know. Same video, Colin says, no, it's not Colin Wolford. His channel's called Blue Wool. He got his channel taken down by a copyright strike, didn't he? Did you see that? That's bloody ridiculous. I don't think he breached anyone's copyright. I really don't. Anyway, aspirating. Cole says aspirating. All right, this is to do with the. I think this is to do with the Trudeau thing, isn't it? Where someone goes like that, says this thing near his arm, and he pretends he's had the V word. Aspirating means when the needle is put into your arm before the V word is injected. The plunger is retracted a few centimeters to make sure there's no blood in the syringe. There's a theory that blood vessels are being hit, resulting in the V word being injected directly into the bloodstream, and that may be what's causing the strokes, myocarditis, clots, etc. Dr. John Campbell has done a few good videos of it in YouTube. Oh, right, thanks, Col. That's interesting to know, right? Yeah. Great. Charles says, from Project Camelot, says, Ben, send that video of the backwards person to Slapped Ham. I should do that because that's exactly the kind of thing he likes, doesn't he? Yeah, that was spooky. That was very spooky. In fact, I might send it also to the Miss. What's it called? What's that channel called? Oh, it's so good. What's it called? The Darkest Secret. That's it. The Darkest Secret. Yep, that's the one. That's another. It's very similar to Slapped Ham, actually. It's by a Mexican lady, Leonore Clay, and it's pretty much the same as Slapped Ham. So yep, definitely. I'll send those to both of them. Thanks very much, Charles. It's a good idea, isn't it? Reply to comments 54. Charles, Boris Dishevelled Johnston. Dishevelled is his middle name. Yeah, he might as well be. It's actually Defeffel, but he is pretty dishevelled, both in terms of his looks and his bloody reputation. And he's only got himself to blame. You know, I was one of the best fans he ever lost, and it's his own fault. It's completely his own fault. Fat Man says here, Fat Man again, on reply to comments 54. Thanks for replying. I think the Hun was caused by the large excavation drills used. Oh, I think you mean the Hum, not the Hun. The Hun is like Attila the Hun, you know. The large excavation drills, like the one used in the USA. And the base I was referring to is next to RAF Rudloe Manor, which is the MOD site Corsham. Oh, right, Fat Man. It's true, like, it has been blamed on mining. I mean, in coal mines and other forms of mines today, there's machinery that can cause vibration. However, the hum is heard in areas where there are no mines. So then it's not just heard around mines. As for the RAF Rudloe Manor used to be a granite mine. In fact, a lot of the underground chambers are actually the galleries of the granite mine. It's MOD Corsham. Right, you are, Fatman. I know there's it's next to RAF Rudloe Manor. I think that's the one that Crafty Nihilist was looking into. I remember. And Matthew Williams was trying to break in there, I think, at some point. Reply to comments 54. Ben W says, I would be interested in what music you like. How about a vid of your favourite albums and songs? Good idea, Ben W. In fact, I'm already working on a video about my... what was it? I've got my notes here. Yeah, I'm already planning a video on my favourite social media. So I might do that and then do the... I might well do the other one after that. So that should be interesting. That's, yeah, good idea. I'll do music. I'll make a note now. Music. I'll put it just here, plus music. My favourite music, yeah. It'd be like a kind of HPANWO-esque desert island discs, wouldn't it? Yeah. Reply to comments 54. Hugo Rune. Here we are. Oh, it's a timestamp here. Let me just put the reply in. There we go. Oh, just pretend, all right? Just pretend that's what it is. But even under Hugo's model, you know, it's they're opposing forces. Yeah, I just had to. What I was doing, Hugo, there was I was sorry. I'll read your comments here. What me? No comment, pal. No probs here. But my model has no problem with what you were saying. I'm enjoying it. Thanks for the mention this early. No problem, mate. No problem, Hugo. You're a very loyal viewer. It's just I see what you mean. Maybe I misunderstood, but I know you have your own idea about how stars work and things like that, and how the universe works. Here we are, 1088030. Okay, this is another timestamp here. I remember you saying in the. It was in your. I don't know if you. I don't think it's not a secret, is it? I think you mentioned it's not a secret. Your little news spot. I think you mentioned that. Yeah. Oh, right, I know what this is about. Yeah. This is about Ukraine. Yeah. Hugo says, I have no problem with Ukraine. The accident was just that. It was a spinal injury. It was 1992. Perhaps their medical was not quite up to it. Perhaps if I had my accident in Hungary, I would not be in a wheelchair. I would have had to deal with it. Who's to say? Whatever. I do not have any negative feelings towards Ukraine. Oh, right. That's it. And as we, I think we talked about this on another. We talked about this on another feeling. And you said something about you already had an existing back problem, which may have been made worse by this incident. And these injuries very often are accumulative. You know, like this porter I told you about, who completely buggered up his back trying to put a bedstead on its side, which is a stupid thing to do, but he'd had no training. It's quite likely that he probably already had existing wear and tear on his spine, which then just the last straw that literally broke the porter's back was doing this stupid thing with the bed. And it could be yours similar. We were talking about that somewhere else, but yeah. So it could have been that if in other circumstances they'd have been able to, it wouldn't have been quite so bad. They'd have been able to fix you up without leaving you quite as bad as you were. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. It's not. I don't know. I don't think you could sue them. I mean, it was 1992. It may be a bit too late to sue them. I mean, that's 30 years ago. Anyway, mate. Let's move on, because of course there'll be I've got a lot to say about Ukraine in this particular video. Kerry Woolley says on reply to comments 54, lol, time team doing their job, dig deeper and you'll find the underworld. Now that, I'd like to see that. I'd watch Time Team if they did that. It'd be nice to see old Baldrick, whatever the name of the actor is. Is it Tony Robinson? You know, he may come through into some kind of giant cave with aliens in, like Phil Schneider, you know. There'd be laser beams flying left, right, and centre. You can just imagine it, can't you? Oh yeah, yeah. Tony Robinson is the new Philip Schneider. Reply to comments 54. TK says, what I noticed is that when you started out HPANWO, you were such a nice, gentle soul. These days, I think you were not so mellow and nice. Almost as if you are jaded and disillusioned these days, and not full of messages of hope like you used to be. Such an angst-filled comments reply video today, Ben. All right, TK. Maybe that's a natural side of things when you've been in this business a long time. I mean, it's funny you should say that, because I was watching this wonderful documentary about crop circles. It was called. It's on YouTube. You can get it on YouTube now. Crop Circles: The Ultimate Undercover Investigation. I mean, the theme tune is lovely to it. And it's the score and everything is wonderful. And I just felt really suddenly very emotional about it, because I just felt so nostalgic. This was all filmed in. It was actually released in 1999, and probably filmed in sort of the late 90s. And I remember what I was like back then. I just started getting into the weird stuff, and I was very crop circle orientated. And I just remember thinking to myself how charming and how sweet and how lively and how innocent everything is in this video, and I was like that. I was like that, yeah. And I think, of course, eventually when you become conspiratorially aware, you end up getting into some very dark stuff, which of course does take its toll on your patience and temper. And I'm sorry if I don't want to be angst-filled. I really don't, and I do want to be a nice, gentle soul. But I think I am as much as I can be in the way the world is, you know. But thanks for the comment. That's a great comment. Kelly Woolley says EMF meter ? And then there's a red bird. What's the red bird? I don't understand. Are you referring to Gary Jones and what he was doing? You better take it up with him. I don't know quite what you mean. And we have Steve Mumbling, finally. Steve Mumbling actually said something very wise, actually, the other day, and I was quite impressed with it. You'll probably mention it. I'll come on to that in a minute. But Steve Mumbling. Oh, here we are, the EMF thing. Yeah, he's talking about Gary Jones. The non-existence of residual EMF isn't a matter of opinion, it's a matter of fact. And Charles says, wherever the existence of Ben's deathly farts has been disclosed. Yeah, I don't think the most hardened skeptic in the world would try to deny that, Charles. As for the EMF, Steve, you've got to ask yourself, Gary did take a large number of studies. It took him a long time to do this. It's all in the book, the Penturk Incident book. It took him a long time to do this. And he took a lot of control samples from lots of other places, and he did get distinctly different readings in the area where this object, whatever it was, touched down. Now that does need explaining. It does. By the way, Cass Clark's uploaded a new video which you'll find very interesting. I think it proves, I think, that it was not a military exercise. Reply to comments 54. Gary Robinson says, "Hey Ben, my mate, with the production company is Guillermo Arriaga, who is also a famous Mexican author. He also wrote the movie Amores Perros, which was directed by his one-time producing partner Alejandro González Iñárritu. These bloody Scottish people get everywhere, don't they? Who eventually won an Oscar for The Revenant. Oh, that's good, that, The Revenant, yeah. Is that the director of that? Okay. They've since fallen out, and I remember Guillermo was telling me that he would never work with him again, which is a shame, as Amores Perros is one of the best movies for the past 25 years. It was set to be banned in the UK until Stephen Frears took a stand against the banning. Gary, why was it banned in the UK? I mean, what's wrong with it? I'm interested in banned movies, actually. You know, I mean, I love The Life of Brian. That's one of the most controversial films ever made, but I think it's incredibly funny. But I've seen The Revenant. That's good. Yeah, I didn't make a note of who the director was. But anyway, Stephen Frears took a stand against the banning. I've heard that name, Stephen Frears. Who's that? Yeah. To answer your question, I can't remember what his production company is called, and I can't seem to find the answer on Google either. One of his movies was The Burning Plane, which I seem to remember was Jennifer Lawrence's first lead role. He told me that he had to fight Charlize Theron to let her have the role, as she wasn't keen on her. No, I don't like Charlize Theron either, actually. It's just that her adopted son. I don't like the way she treats him. Anyway, it's interesting to chat with people like me, who are in the business, but they do live in a completely different world to us. When I saw him last, he told us that Brad Pitt was currently staying at his house in Mexico City in order to hide from the international press. This was told to me while we were having a burger and chips in Luby's Diner, the joke being that that's a crap restaurant. Cheers. Oh, right, Gary. Well, you know, it's... I don't know. I suppose it's the ultimate cover. If Brad Pitt is staying with you, you don't want to make it too obvious by going to posh restaurants, do you? But yeah, I'm sure if you went in there and he was there, you wouldn't tell anyone, would you, Gary? I mean, you may well be holding him up right now. You wouldn't say anything. I mustn't be too hard on Charlize Theron. She's got a young boy. She's adopted a young boy, and she dresses him up like a girl. And I think that's cruel. He's only about 8 or 9. She makes him put on a dress and everything. I think that's disgusting. So I know that's, what's it called, T-word phobic, but I think you can't do that to children. You shouldn't do that to children. But she was very good in this film Monster, which was it was a film about the serial killer Emlyn-Jones, and it was based on a documentary called. It was a two-part documentary by Nick Broomfield about Emlyn-Jones, which is very good. Yeah. But anyway, that's thanks for letting me know, Gary. It's interesting. I'm not very familiar with the Mexican movie industry. I suppose you call it. Do you call it Mollywood? And it's good to have you as an insider here to tell us all about it. I'll have to watch more Mexican films. And Gary says, P.S. If that's not bizarre enough, Darren Aronofsky was meant to be dining with us that night, but he couldn't make it at the last minute. Who's Darren Aronofsky? Let's have a look. Darren Aronofsky is an American film director, producer, and screenwriter. Oh, right, you are. Okay, yeah. What's he done? Requiem for a Dream, The Fountain. Oh, that was strange. The Fountain. That was a weird film. All right. You see, the screenwriters don't get much accolade, do they? They should do. I mean, I'm very keen on looking at screenwriters. So, for example, I do like, is it Charlie Kaufman? He's very good. And I mentioned Barry Levinson as well. But yeah, if you get to meet him again, I'm sure you'd have an interesting conversation. Let me know how it goes. Ask him if he's interested in. Hey, Gary, do us a favour, mate. Ask him if he's interested in adapting Roswell Rising, because I am willing to negotiate rights if that's the case. All right, Charles from Project Camelot says in reply to comments 54. Remember the last episode of The Prisoner, Ben? How can I forget it? Number 1. All right. I thought you were about to drop a spoiler there, Charles. Yeah, number 1 turned out to be the little butler who nobody took notice of, working with number 6 all the time from the inside. Yeah. Thanks for not dropping the spoiler there, Charles. Yeah, who is number 1? Well, yes. It was the butler. Yeah, at least you think that while you're watching it. Same video, Charles says, Ben, that must be one of the most nonsensical statements you've ever made. How in the name of Jupiter's cock could a fake alien invasion be any worse than a real one? Possibly because the real alien invasion is kind of already happened, and we've lived through it. Secondly, there wouldn't be the deception, the false flag nature wouldn't be so bad. So, for example, I'd probably feel if the official story of 9/11 were true, and it really was the 19 hijackers, I'd call it a horrible crime and a terrible tragedy, but I would feel more comfortable with that, knowing that the government hadn't lied to us and done it themselves. So honestly, I don't think my statement's nonsensical. And David says, David Splendid Isolation. Hello, David. Depends who you're being controlled by and how. Charles says, are you feeling quite well? I don't know. You two guys, you thrash it out. Jeff Sperry says on reply to comments 54, Ben, regarding the World Economic Forum, corrupt globalist puppet politicians and scientists that have destroyed people's lives over the last 2 years of this scam, well, they deserve the same justice that Mr. and Mrs. Ceausescu met. Oh, I forgot the corrupt lying media who pushed the fear porn 24/7 and enabled their evil plan by not doing their job in reporting the truth. Oh, God, I know. Jeff, there's no punishment bad enough for these people. That's the thing. What you do to them. There's nothing bad enough I can think of doing to them. There's not. I mean, I believe there should be a tribunal like there was in Romania, which did carry out a sentence against the Ceausescus, and we're going to need to do the same here. And who's honestly going to appeal for leniency after what they've done? Honestly, I won't be. I mean, you might think that I'm sort of like soft-hearted when it comes to things like that, but I have a, I have feelings. I wouldn't call for. I wouldn't I wouldn't be the one advocating mercy. I really wouldn't. Jeff Sperry says, on reply to comments, regarding your beef with RDH, Ben. Well, I wouldn't call it a beef. It's funny, like, this always comes up whenever anyone's critical of Richard D. Hall. Charles has got exactly the right answer in a minute, but I'll just finish Jeff Sperry's. It's just, I think a lot of people are intimidated by him. It's a funny thing. We have this kind of mixed attitude towards people who are very arrogant and bullish. I think this came up when I was talking about Richard Dolan. You know, we say, "Oh, I can't stand that." You know, a lot of people do this, but then very often deep down there's kind of respect. There's a kind of respect and almost admiration, especially from women, towards arrogant men, but also sometimes from other men as well. So that Richard D. Hall doesn't really get a lot of people back talking him. And because of this reason, the thing about me is I'm not scared to do that. I'm not scared. If I think he's gone wrong somewhere, I will tell him. And then I don't think it's fair to I mean, I know you're not doing this, Jeff. I know, but some people have polarized this. When I criticize him, they polarize it and say, "Well, what have you got against him? Why don't you like him? Why do you hate him so much?" I don't hate him. In many ways, I quite like him in some ways, and I think he's done a lot of good. But he's not perfect, and I'm willing to say so. Not least because he himself is very critical of others. Very critical, usually unfairly so, including me. He called me an effing servant of the mainstream media. He called Miles Johnston a clown. And all from the comfort and safety of his social media. All I said was, you know, I don't mind him doing that, but let him do it to my face. At one of his events. And then, you know, we can go and take a stroll in the car park, you know, after the show or something if he doesn't like it. And we'll sort it out that way. But he's not a troll, but he exhibits this trollish behaviour by saying these things on social media or a show, you know, where no one can reach him. Anyway, he says here, Ben, can you please explain how this started? As I found your channel by watching the Rich Planet episode you appeared on, working my way through your back catalogue of vids, by the way, and I'm firmly gone over to the woo side after being a skeptic all my life, apart from the Diana crash. By the way, I really enjoy all of your comments, vids. Well, thank you, Jeff, and I do hope you enjoy HPANWO TV. I hope you enjoy all the videos. And yeah, I was actually on two of Richard's shows, and they're still there. I enjoyed doing those shows, actually. I would go back and do another show with him if he asks. He won't ask, though. He won't ask because I've for reasons that Charles is going to explain in a minute. But look, well, here's one. Look at my T-shirt there. By the way, look. Don't mention the reptilians. Isn't that cool? I got that from the RepCon. Yeah, that's kind of thing. That's the kind of thing I mean. You know. But Charles says underneath here, it says there's no beef. RDH just went mad one day and started calling lots of people shills and agents for no reason. Correct, Charles. Jeff says, oh, I see, Charles. Maybe it's the strain of the last 2 years as everyone reacts in different ways, I guess, on RDH. But I do agree with Ben regarding RDH seeming to be relying overly on language analysis when it comes to the truth. That's it, Jeff. Yeah, he does, for reasons I've explained. He's sort of like he doesn't really interact with anyone now. Over the Larry Warren business, he didn't even speak to me. He didn't even speak to Gary Heseltine, even though we've researched this more than anyone else. He didn't write to us. He didn't contact us. He just wheels in Peter Hyatt and says, "There you are. I've solved it." He literally said this a couple of times. I'm going to solve this mystery once and for all. Blimey, 40 years down the line, hundreds of people investigating it. Dozens of witnesses. No firm answer. Then Richard D. Hall comes riding over the hill on his white charger with Peter Hyatt sitting beside him like a Knights Templar on the saddle behind him. No, that's enormously, I think, what's the word? Chutzpah, as they say. I think that's a great word. That's a Yiddish word, chutzpah. Yeah, Richard's got a lot of chutzpah. Charles says in reply to Jeff, I'm not sure he's ever been legitimate. He calls himself evidence-based research, but years ago I sent the actual evidence that a case he covered had been stolen from a science fiction story from the 1920s. RDH refused to even look at it. Then I went on his shill list for trying to show him the actual evidence. Oh, really, Charles? Oh, right. Because I did think Richard used to be more credible than he is now. If you look at the stuff he did like to do with the Bedouin Mountains and Matlabican and stuff like that, that is definitive. I think that is this is the research of record, I consider, for these particular cases. But then you, what science fiction story are you talking about? And right, let us know exactly what case you're talking about and which story. Or did you send it to me by any chance? I mean, you may have. Oh God, please forgive me if you've already written. If you've already written to me about this, Charles, because I mean, I get a mountain of correspondence, and I just please, if you already have, I apologise, and can you just remind me? Thanks. And Jeff says underneath, thank you for the information, Charles, and I will keep an open mind on RDH in the future. That's good on you, Jeff. Good on you. It's always worth watching his stuff, and I watch all his stuff. I watch all his stuff. He is capable of doing very, very good work indeed. Some of the best I've ever seen. And you know, it's people like that very often are not the easiest people to get on with. I found people who are very, very committed and produce a lot of material, a lot of high quality material. They often have like the eccentric artist. It's often like people like Vincent van Gogh. He was like that, you know, because he apparently, I mean, people who knew him said he was horrible. It could be that Richard is suffering from a bit of genius syndrome, even though he's not a genius, not quite, but he is very, very good. As a result, he's often not the easiest person to get on with. But Charles says under here, in reply to Jeff, you are privy to an event that happens once every 100 years or so. Make note and pass it on to your grandchildren for posterity. Myself and Ben actually agree on something. It does happen occasionally, Charles. We agree on Richard Dolan as well, couldn't we? RDH could be capable of so much better than this. My own speculation is that he wanted to do some good, but he discovered the subjects he covers are absolute rubbish, so he went after the tinfoil hat dollar because he wasted his time. No proof, just a guess. I think that's unfair, Charles. I think Richard is sincere. I think he's paranoid. I think he's bad tempered. By his own admission, he once said, you know, he can't do certain things because only people who are more diplomatic than him can do it. He actually said that. So I think he's aware of his disagreeable nature, his own disagreeable nature. But you're accusing him essentially, or you're suggesting, your speculation is that he discovers things are absolute rubbish and went after the tinfoil hat dollar. No, I don't think so. I think that's unfair. And Jeff says underneath to Charles, it's wonderful to be alive when such an event happens once every 100 years, Charles. Could you give examples of the tinfoil hattery subjects RDH descended into covering, please? Oh, here we go. Right, this is interesting. Charles says to Jeff, the first and obvious one is that anyone who disagrees with him must be a compromised individual, quote unquote. Yeah. I mean, it gets absurd. Oh, God, it's like, you know, Linda Moulton Howe has a phone call with him where she says that the body in Brazil, the mutilated body in Brazil, was not done by aliens. And, Linda Moulton Howe is compromised. No, she's not. She suffers. She is very, very good. I like Linda Moulton Howe. But she suffers from failures of nerve. I mean, I discussed this in my article because I did an article about, what's his name, Laughing Boy, what's his name, Stephen Cambion, attacking her and saying a lot of very unfair things about her. And, but she suffered. I think she has suffered from a failure of nerve. A lot of the people who accept animal mutilations just do not understand that, you know, humans are not somehow exempt. Some of them, like Linda and people like that, they think that, you know, the aliens come down, they take cattle, they take sheep, they take wild animals, they take marine mammals, they take pets. They take all kinds of species and do these horrible things to them and leave them dead with these injuries. But somehow, when it comes to humans, no, humans are special. Humans are, you know, we don't do this sort of thing to humans. They're kind of like exempt because they're above everything else, or they're separate. But why should that be the case? Why should an alien species regard us as anything other than a particularly clever, upright, walking ape? And unfortunately, it does seem that humans are affected too by this. But whatever intelligence is behind these horrible incidents, humans are affected too. And Linda doesn't like that. I think Linda just suffered. She just had a failure of nerve at that moment. She's not perfect. Charles continues. Following closely behind is the reptilian alien abductions of humans for food. That was that thing with the sheep, wasn't it? The sheep in, I think it was Lincolnshire. where 400 sheep just vanished one day, and they said it was rustlers, but then they couldn't find. You'd need about 5 lorries for all those sheep, and there was a house next door, and there was no noise, no tire tracks, nothing on CCTV, But then Richard said, well, they may have stolen the sheep for food. Oh, but did they? Anyway, he carries on. The guy he was using on those broadcasts had been exposed as a hoaxer years ago, and RDH hoped everyone had forgotten about it. Who's that? Who are you talking about there, Charles? The guy on those broadcasts exposed as a hoax, abduction of humans for food. Which episode was that? Remind me. That story came from a 1929 sci-fi novella called The Lizard Men of Bulow. Oh, you sent this to me, didn't you? Yeah, by Henry Weiss. I sent him scans of the actual publication, which he also refused to look at. Another is the scalar aerial that is supposed to be hidden in the mountains of Wales. RDH stole that from a 1973 James Bond film, The Man with the Golden Gun, right down to the shape of the antenna. Oh, I've seen that film. I don't remember that. I remember there was like this island, this big tall island with cliffs all around it, and the bad guy, played by Christopher Lee, lived inside in this sort of secret base, and there was this thing that came out the top with solar panels on, and there was this laser beam powered by sunlight. There was a solar powered laser beam. I remember. But I don't remember that. I know the thing you're talking about with Wales, but I don't see the connection between that and the Man with the Golden Gun. But could you let me know about which episode it was about the humans for food thing? And Jeff says, I will look into those examples you gave Charles. Charles says, I haven't tuned into RDH for years, actually. It's a platform so he can do what he likes with it, but I don't go around asking people for evidence. He freaks out when anyone shows him actual, evidence. Yeah, I would take that on board, I would, if I were Richard, I would take that on board. But, if he's not doing that, then that's the discredit to him, yeah. Jeff says, I must admit, Charles, that until I watched RDH's YouTube channel around 3 years ago, I was a total skeptic, except for Diana's death. It was my awakening moment, so I'm learning things every time I listen to people with evidence like yourself. Hey, Jeff, good on you, Jeff. There are ex-skeptics on the woo-woo side. They really are. As I explained in my Sufon talk, which is coming up in a minute or later on, both sides make converts from each other. There are some skeptics who used to be on the woo-woo side, like Susan Blackmore, and vice versa. And it is sometimes people do convert, and you're obviously one of them. And I wish you luck in this adventure onto the tinfoil hat side. And I hope your ex-fellow skeptics don't give you too much of a hard time. Charles says to Jeff, I went the other way. I started off as a believer and noticed that invariably these personalities would freak out when you question them. So what are they so threatened by? After years of chipping away, I'm now convinced it's either for entertainment or for money. There's no actual truth to any of it, really. Well, as you know, Charles, I don't agree with that. But I don't freak out when you question me. I mean, I'm quite a welcome debate. And I don't. The only money I make is from people who buy my book, which is fiction. Although to be fair, it's allegorical fiction. I mean, I write about things I believe are real. I believe the scenario in the Roswell trilogy could literally come true. Jeff says to Charles, what is true and what is a lie? Sometimes I wish I'd carried on watching EastEnders, and those rabbit holes don't half mess with your head, Charles. Oh, it's Morpheus said to Neo. Neo says, I can't go back, can I? And Morpheus says, no. But if you could, would you want to? Of course, Cypher does, doesn't he? He wants to take the blue pill and get back into the Matrix. I went through a moment when I did think that at one point, I remember. Anyway, that was interesting. Thanks, guys. That was a very interesting thread. And we got a dialogue with Jam Noise and Charles now. This should be good. Reply to comments 54. Ben, you big wally. That's a good old 1980s English expression there, Charles. If you'd watched a few seconds longer, we gave you a mention and played your Charles videos. Oh, right. I replied to Charles here because he's talking about Terry Joyce's video. She did, yes. Terry did a live stream where she played some of Charles's videos, which include which is himself. He lifted from my own videos on on Project Camelot, or Project Avalon's Charles. And it's Terry found them very amusing, I'm pleased to say. And I said, "Oh, sorry, I'll go back and watch it." And Charles says, "You better, you big wally." And I did watch it, yeah. Jam Noise says to Charles, "Lol, this guy is funny, Ben." He is Jam Noise, he is. And Charles says to Jam Noise, "If you have an hour to spare and want a really good laugh, here's the real Charles in one of his own interviews." Oh, right, this is... Oh, you did send me a link to this, yeah. Oh, it's the whole thing. Yeah, it's the whole thing. It's on History, Myths and Legends. Oh, brilliant. Legend has it, he was so pissed off with Ben, he doxed himself by forgetting to switch off his webcam. Yes, I saw him from the front. He found me on Skype. I walked in and there was this message from this guy, and so he just wanted to contact. So I clicked yes, and he called me, and he said, "You fucking cunt!" He was shouting at me, and I saw him from the front. Fucking. He can't take a joke, he really can't. He went on to call himself Atticus One after that. But I didn't have the recorder on, because I could have got a video of Charles's face for the first time ever. That would be exclusive. He doesn't look particularly, actually, to tell you the truth, he just looks like a normal guy. He doesn't have any particular scars, or he doesn't have reptilian eyes or anything like that. He just looks like a normal bloke. But he was so angry at me for taking the mickey out of him. It's like they really, really don't. He couldn't take a joke. He really couldn't. And Jam Noise says to Charles, "I've seen this. I know Charles and who you're pretending to be." Oh, yeah, it's funny. It's funny. He's just like. I think that interview Bill Ryan did was some of the best unintentional comedy that's ever been on YouTube. Charles says to Jam Noise, pretending? Are you saying Charles is a fraud? Are you saying Charles is making things up? I hope not, because Charles doesn't like that. It makes Charles angry. And when Charles gets angry, things happen, you know what I mean? Yes, he does. He'll do you, man. He'll play golf with you and slaughter you. I'm so sorry, Charles, says Jam Noise. Yes, of course it's you. I will leave the country now. Oh, better leave the planet, love. Jam Noise, Ben, help me. Jam Noise, you dug your hole, you get out of it. Now don't do it again. Damn that photograph. Ha ha, look away. Oh yeah, yes, Jam Noise's avatar, yes. Well worth looking at. Look away now. Charles, I tried, but my eyes keep coming out of my ears. Jam Noise, oh, now you're making me blush. Ha. Jam Noise says, Eunice told me to tell you, if you go outside, you'll get a good blow, and you will only get that joke if you're in the UK. Charles, nope, I'm in Massachusetts. Do I even want to know? Jam Noise, oh, for fuck's sake, that was lost on you. Then, ha, look at my latest upload. Charles, does it have pictures? Jam Noise, oh, right. This is, Charles also says, this is February in Boston. We're kind of used to wild weather and -10 temperatures at this time. Jam Noise, now, down boy, lol. Charles, oh, all right, if I have to. It's too cold here anyway. Well, get a room, you two. Reply to comments 54. Kerry Woolley says, you mentioned Stan Laurel. You also mentioned the Omega Factor. Yes. Watch the first episode and look at who's on the mug on the table. Have you seen Kate Bush experiment video? Was it? What's the first episode? All right. Oh, the crypto... oh, right, yeah, Omega Factor. When is it? Oh, I won't do it now, but when does it occur in the video? All right. The experiment video, Kerry, do you mean cloud busting? Because I've not only seen that video, it's one of the most evocative rock videos I've ever seen in my life. I saw it when I was a little kid, and it really haunted me. I couldn't get it out of my head. Of course, it's based on Wilhelm Reich. Someone I'd never heard of. Somebody I'd never heard of at that time. I was only a little kid, but yeah. Reply to comments 54, Charles. Here's one for you, Ben. What's the connection between Laurel and Hardy and Star Wars and Hammer Horror? Oh, blimey. Fred Wood did a cameo. Is that it? He's old enough. I don't. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm kidding there. I don't know, Charles. Tell me. Let me know. Steve mumbling. Reply to comments 54. Sufon distancing themselves from the Pentach nonsense. Good for them. Perhaps there are still some real researchers out there. The Pentach drivel is a science fiction story woven around a military exercise. A lame attempt at making some cash that gets more embellishments every time it's told. Only the sort of people gullible enough to believe the Queen of England is a shape-shifting lizard from outer space. And we have an interplanetary crewed secret space program, believe it's true. The real UFO fanboys like Ben here. Any serious researcher knows it's absolute rubbish. It's just a science fiction story for UFO hobbyists. It does nothing whatsoever to promote UFO truth. Those of us seriously interested in the truth regarding UFOs keep on looking for real evidence. I've seen none so far. Well, you said an awful lot there without saying anything, Steve. Personally, the first sentence about Sufon, yeah, they are. They are. Well, some of the I don't know the actual group itself. The network itself has an official policy, but I know a lot of there's individuals within it who are now distancing themselves. You may have seen the Craig Charles documentary on TV with what was it, and that Cruddas woman, whatever her name is. And apart from that, all you have here, you only make one point. You say it's a military exercise. I suggest you watch Kaz Clark's latest video, Charles. It's on her channel. It's what's it called? Hang on. There we go. The Pentach incident. Here we go. It's this one. I'll even show you to you, Charles. There you go. Kaz Clark Pentach incident that proves that this was not a military exercise. From the Pentach Incident UFO channel, it's 59 minutes long. It's a lot. But it packs a lot in. It packs a lot in there, Steve. And I challenge you. I challenge you to explain the stuff that Kaz talks about there. Apart from that, everything here is rhetoric. It's typical of you, actually. You know, the sort of people gullible enough, lame attempt at making cash, which again that's a slanderous attack. That is. Queen of England, shapeshifting lizards, SSP, real UFO fanboys is a rather loaded term, don't you think? Hobbyists. Anyway, Charles says underneath, you forgot to mention the secret space program is powered by free energy. He did, didn't he? Because it is. It is, you see, Charles. Steve Mumbling says, it's more likely to be powered by cheese and pickle sandwiches. Oh, well, that's good, Steve, you know, because I've actually got some bread here and I've got some cheese and pickle. I could make one. And I could power my own spaceship. Charles says, do they have any intelligence? Well, we'll find out. Steve hasn't replied to that. Here we go. This is now reply to comments 54. Charles from Project Camelot says, oh, Ben, you twist and turn like a twisty-turny thing. Oh, that is Blackadder. Lord Melchett, isn't it? Blackadder, you challenge me to a drinking competition. You twist and turn like a twisty-turny thing. For the last 3 reply videos, you asked what the real issues with Paulides are. 8 months ago, I sent you a stack of before and after cases he covers, actual covered and cited press releases, SIR reports, search and rescue for the time, alongside versions Paulides spruiked, often decades later. Stop saying spruiked, that's Steve Mumbling's word. Where he has deliberately changed the details of those cases, very often claiming that individuals who were actually found alive and well are still missing. I also sent you his criminal conviction for fraud and court report proving he's never been a detective in his life. Read this very carefully, Ben. Those are the issues. Oh, Charles, I'm sorry. I haven't looked at them yet. I'm sorry. I do believe that if this could be a good test case for the tribunal. It could indeed. I'll have a look through them, all right. But I'm getting so much correspondence. Just like I had a whole load of stuff from another guy, the guy I know in Wales. He sent me a whole load of stuff the other day. Obviously, like if it is the issue. If we're dealing with the facts of the cases that he talks about, And it turns out that he has lied and fabricated the results of those cases, of those missing people. And there has to be a lot of fabrication because there are a large number of them. Then, yeah. So, look, I'll look for it. It's on my... It'll be in my email. There's no need to resend it. It'll be somewhere in my emails. I will look at it as soon as I can, but I do have an awful lot of other things to do. I promised someone I'd get something done by tomorrow. This is someone else who regularly writes to me. Same video, Charles. Yeah, I should explain. The question about consciousness with a minimum. Of consciousness with a minimum of 2 hours was Crafty's fault. She shot me a message to see if we could keep you up all night while you were making the last reply video. Oh, dear. Oh, really? I should have known they would... You devious persons, people, things. Charles says here on 54, yes, an EMF can remain in an area if something is generating it. Gary is claiming that old EMF signals can hang around. They can't because it's impossible. Also, the expert saying Gary's EMF study needs further analysis wasn't an endorsement. He was saying that Gary cocked it up and didn't know what he was looking at. That's not what it says in the book, Charles. That if Gary, sure, I mean, this is something that can be repeated. This is an experiment that can be repeated. Gary did this a certain time after the incident had occurred. Now, it's possible that if there was some kind of ionizing radiation, it will have left something in the ground which can be picked up by some kind of device, some kind of sensor. People use them in crop circles all the time. It could be very similar to the crop circles. If you're familiar with the crop circle studies, you'll know that even in the stubble after harvest, shapes can remain. And when people go in there, sometimes even in the middle of winter, months later, they'll find that there is an electromagnetic field there. It could be something connected to that. 54 Charles. Ben, I was talking retrospectively. At the time, Kaz claimed they were an investigator. They were actually a charity correspondent. Oh, right. This is this journalist. Okay. The change of job came after that. Kaz lied about it. She also claimed that that person contacted her out of the blue on the phone and threatened her, whereas more recently Kaz says she initiated the contact through her Facebook. There's no way to reconcile the differences. Kaz Clark is telling lies has been caught out. This is exactly why Kaz goes into fits of rage whenever her contradictions are pointed out. No wonder Sufon dropped them. So, are you saying these threats didn't happen? Because I got a very, very strange phone call from somebody about Kaz. And that was... I don't have an answer to this right now, Charles. I've read Kaz's book. I've spoken to her a lot. I found her an honest person. I've looked into the things she talks about with me, and I haven't found any problems with the things she talks about with me. Is there a reason other than deceit that she might have changed the story? Some lies are down to discretion rather than deception. But I mean, I recommend Kaz. Kaz can reply on this. Kaz actually was talking on Facebook with the East Anglia group the other day. So, I think if she doesn't fly into fits of rage when people contradict her. She was actually dealing with these people factually in this group. I don't know if you're a member of the group. It's East Anglia UFO group. You could probably always join, Charles. I mean, you don't have to be in East Anglia to join it. I'm a member. I'm not in East Anglia. I'm in the sort of South Midlands. Anyway, as you say, I don't fly into a rage like Richard D. Hall does when people question me. So you can say what you like about these things. I don't mind. I'll do my best to debate these things with you. Right, Russophobia live stream. It's an old but very relevant one. Jeff Sperry says, I never believed the Skripal Novichok story. Those Russian assassins using a lethal bioweapon that's fatal if you just sniff it. Well done, Jeff. Yeah, you certainly are getting wooed up good and proper, aren't you? As we were told by the media, it wasn't that lethal to the Skripals, was it? Yeah, Nick Hollistrom's a good guy to talk about with that. The guy I interviewed for the Ukraine video I just did. I've done some HPANWO radio interviews with about him. And indeed, Richard D. Hall, as you said, made a good documentary showing how fake it was, as the army were doing a mock bioweapon training exercise that week in Salisbury. Yeah, he also did a good show with Nick Holostrom about it. Yeah, I think he was just about to say he interviewed Nick in that particular show. What's this? Okay. My phone is going very... Oh, come on. There we go. For some reason, it keeps bleeping. It's running very slow today for some reason. But yeah, it's... I'll just finish this particular point. And they both came to the same conclusion. Looking at today's situation in Ukraine, I think a false flag event is bound to bring a war, as the military-industrial complex demanded after pulling out of Afghanistan and conveniently leaving all the toys behind for the Taliban to sell or use. Yeah, it does. I think they do want to push this as far as they can. Of course, they're playing with fire, nuclear fire. But they're just they've got such a hate on for Russia right now. I mean, these sanctions that that they're putting out, this is not just sanctions. This is a trade embargo, which is very often very often the prelude to war. It was a trade embargo with Japan that caused Pearl Harbor and the war in the Pacific in the 1940s. And of course, yeah, maybe they just don't care. Maybe they want us all to get blown to bits because then they can build their new world order in a post-nuclear world after a nuclear holocaust. Maybe that's the idea. Maybe they got this weird idea, a bit like Jay Posadas, that a nuclear holocaust is actually a good thing. Anyway, guys, that's all from part one. Back in, well, I'll have a little break, you guys, and I'll be back in a short while. For you guys, it'll be the next moment. Okay, guys, I've had some technical problems with I hope you can hear the mic. It's not just the mic now. My countdown thing on my phone's playing up. I'm trying to get myself a new phone. I say try. Shouldn't be that difficult. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to what I'm going to do is I found an online timer, which is good. Okay, so that's sorted. All right, where were we? Right. Charles says on Illuminati Pyramid in Oxford Part 2. My God, this is one of the earliest videos I ever did. Charles, you're going really back to my beginnings now. This is what, 2008 I did this? 2007, 2008, something like that? And he says, absolute rubbish. They're just pretty buildings and nothing more. Oh, well, I think some of the buildings I might have some of the examples I gave I thought were perhaps not Illuminati, but... It could be that maybe I was reading too much into those things, Charles. Maybe I was, but as Charles says here, it's a roof bed, nothing more than that. They're shaped that way because A, they're very efficient and very stable design. B, to keep the rain off your head while you're watching TV. Those little circles are not sun symbols either. They are a classic design from when there was little round windows in the attic space. Architects still put them there for aesthetic reasons because a blank wall is too severe on the eyes. All right. Well, Charles, I was a very, very new conspiratologist in those days, and perhaps I was a little bit over-enthusiastic about several things. But I appreciate you going back to this really, really, really old video that I did. And unbelievable. Charles, I don't believe it. Probe 4, Sam and Jean. Charles... How do you know about this? Because I've just had to repost this because Sam sadly passed away last week. Jean died in about 2011. Sam died last week, and I've been putting this. I re-put this. I didn't repost the video on YouTube, but I put a link onto Twitter and Facebook. You must have seen it there. So it must have. I don't know if you follow me on Facebook, or Twitter, but it must have filtered through to you somehow. An interview I did with Sam and Jean, I think in 2009, which has become very poignant now they've both died. And as Charles says, these guys remind me of Camberwick Green for some reason. What? Camberwick Green? Oh, bloody hell, okay, it takes me back. Little puppet shows. Anyway, good news, guys. Good. Oh, I was wondering, I should have broken this to you before. There's going to be a new probe. It's coming back. Paul, Sam and Jean's son's going to do it. I'll tell you more about that later. I'm so excited and thrilled, and I'm so happy about it. I'll tell you about it later. Anyway, reply to comments 54. Marky Boy says, Alcohol and hot curry is medication, Ben. Right, Marky. I'm going to go out and I'm going to get myself an extra big dose. Yes, I am lucky to be able to listen at work, but I am in charge with no outside customers, so it's ideal here for me here. Oh, good on you, mate. You know, if I got myself a new job, I'd probably get one like that. Weirdly, I was originally working in Milton Keynes, which I found to be a pretty good place to live. I like the roads, as the commutes were like being on a racetrack. Is MK not pitched to be a smart city? I wonder if it's why it was built in the first place. Well, it's built as a new town in the 50s, along with a couple of others, which is why it looks so weird. But it looks weird. It's not just weirdness. I mean, of course, Canberra in Australia was built the same way. There's also a place called Astana, which is the purpose-built capital of Kazakhstan, which is a more recent construction. Charles, that has Illuminati pyramids in. It does. They're not just nice-looking roofs or something architects put in. That Astana, I could do an entire video on Astana, like I did on Milton Keynes. But MK, I don't think it's going to be a smart city. Glasgow is a smart city, but MK was brought to be a new town with the post-war baby boom. You know, lots of new houses were made, so they built a couple of new towns, and this was one of them. Charles says underneath, it's a waste of money because one cancels out the other. That's how Dave Lister defeated the curry monster. Oh, I thought it was lager. Yeah, a lager. Yeah, the only thing that can kill a vindaloo. Oh my goodness, that was funny. That was funny. Red Dwarf, the curry monster. Marky also says on 54, Smurfs. Father Abraham was the little bloke singing the Smurf song with them. Also, how do you choke a Smurf? How can you tell when you've done it? I mean, they're blue after all. Yeah. And Charles says underneath, Ronnie Corbett, 1982. I like Ronnie Corbett. He was cool. But the Smurf song, was it like the la 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 la? Father Abraham was the bloke singing. Right. I think I may be a bit too young to know all these things. Anyway, Charles says underneath. Charles says on a new comment on 54. Hello to Richard D. Hall. Please, could you make some commentary here and let us all know that you are the only person in history that made myself and good old Ben actually agree on something. Come on, Richard, you've got to break your silence for that. Yeah. Are you not privileged to know that you alone have that honour? Tell us all here how you feel being the sole person who was capable of making myself and Ben agree. Just a few words, Richard. Then memes will be made in your honour and spread far and wide. I'm sure we'll be very happy with this knowledge, aren't you? Well, Charles, that was 3 weeks ago, and his royal coolness has not replied. So obviously it's an honour he does not wish to accept. How very strange. He'll be sending back his knighthood next. Richard D. Sorry, here we are. This is on reply to comments 54. Nora A. says here, I heard that you're a fan of that creepy predator called Simon Parkes. Did you also buy his USB thumb drives? No, I didn't. How do you... Nora, how do you know he's a predator? Have you called the police? Has anybody called the bloody police about this? No, they haven't. What's also happened is Stephen Cambion has gathered a few people around to talk about it, and then they do this big waffle thing online for a while, and then we're supposed to condemn him because of that, are we? We're supposed to say Simon Parkes is guilty, ordeal by internet. It's ironic, you know. We're in a situation where all the systems of civilization are going to collapse around us when the Illuminati go, and we're going to have to build them up from scratch. And people who should know better, if you're watching this video, you should know better, are essentially want us to go back to medieval justice, do you? Where someone said something and mud sticks. Look, Nora, look, I don't want to be too hard on you here. Let me just show you something, okay? And you can look for it yourself. Here we go. Here's an article I'd like you to read. Okay? Let me just show you. There you go. Simon Parkes is innocent, it's called. There's the URL. You can study it at your leisure. It's not a long one. I'd say it's a 5-minute read. And it'll tell you everything you need to know about that. And I do ask you to think over this. Think about what you said before you start just repeating accusations made by other people. Made by people who accuse him of very, very serious accusations, and they accuse him again and again and again. They don't call the police. No, this is, you always know that whenever, because really, he'd be in jail right now. If any of this were true, he'd be in jail right now. Please read that article, Nora. Feel free to comment underneath it or put a comment on this video. Where we are now, we have Secrets of Milton Keynes Part 2, and we have Fly High. What's a good name? Fly High, Fly H-I, it's spelled. I'm looking into Milton Keynes as I believe it has connections to Washington, D.C. I think you'll find your streets lead to Washington, D.C. Both are connected to Satanism, Child's Way, Portway, Saxon Gate, Witten Gate, Midsummer Boulevard, yeah. The Escape is the architecture of the Gate of Hades. Then there's the Milton Keynes Rose Theatre. You have a Dangerous Liaison statue. Admittedly, tin-foil hats, mask, face masks, social distancing 6'6" apart. Admiralty hats refers to being lost at sea, presumed dead. Birth certificates replacing you as the trust subject to maritime law, commercial law, from the Cestui Quavi Act of 1666. Owls, I'll have to look into it. MK is CIA code for CIA Technical Services. Oh, not MK Ultra then. Codes, electronic warfare, possibly biological and chemical warfare. Nearby at Hanslope Park is the British equivalent. Before that, Bletchley Park, Enigma Machine and Colossus. That's right, yeah, that's Milton Keynes' sole claim to fame on the tourist trail, is that Bletchley Park now lies within modern Milton Keynes. And Fly continues here. Owls are to the night what eagles are today. Children of the dark, children of the light. Light is God, dark is Satan. The owl represents great intelligence, but also death, as they bring death to their prey, usually at night, by silent, stealthy means. Yet, once they decide to kill, they are fast and decisive. They have slightly different meanings from culture to culture. Different owls can represent different things, but this is the general association. Great intelligence, looking at things from above, a different perspective. Silent, stealthy, but swift and decisive. Death in the night. Well, thanks for all those interesting things, Fly. I appreciate your insights into these Illuminati symbolism thing in Milton Keynes. I should point out the owl thing in the shopping centre. It was actually, I think there may be an innocent explanation for that, which is it's designed to keep birds away, because it's essentially it acts like a scarecrow, because birds getting into indoor malls is always very difficult, into the atriums. They make nests, they poo everywhere and things like that. So the owl is meant to, like, it's a model owl. It's meant to keep them away. Ironically, birds, they say bird brain, but birds are not. It's not stupid. I mean, I think some of them have worked out that the owl is not real, and so they still go in. But this is why the latest bird scares are actually owls which move. They flap their wings and turn their heads and things like that to make them more realistic. Okay, here is a post I put up about my debate with Bowler Hat Man, because I did a debate with Bowler Hat Man, if you remember, and here we are, your viewers. Here we go. This was a community notice. Following my debate with Bowler Hat Man, I've done a breakdown of analysis on HPANWO radio, and here is if you want to see it, it's here. Let me just show you. This is my kind of reply to Bowler Hat Man. It's on HPANWO radio. There's the URL. Check that out. But anyway, where was I? The Basic Materials Project says, I quite remember the chat descending into reprobates level chat. Well, I didn't notice the Basic Materials Project. I didn't actually follow the chat because I was too busy talking to Ollie, but people told me that people there were being very rude. They were leaving continuous insulting comments about me, so just as well I couldn't see it. But I've not been back on Ollie's channel. He hasn't asked me to. He's ghosted me again. To be honest, I'm not sure I want to. Reply to comments 54, Gary Robinson. Ben, mate, Ridley Scott just announced an Alien TV show. Cheers. Oh, really? You'll have to invite him round your house. There are Alien fan films that are absolutely terrifying. The brand has now been bought out by Disney, so I wouldn't expect much. Well, look what they did to Star Wars. Yeah, and Star Trek. I mean, they've trashed those things. Gary says to Charles, "You know what? I forgot it was Disney doing this show. I'm curious to see that. You know, I am, Gary. That's put a damper on things. Amazon are also doing Blade Runner 2099, which Ridley Scott is overseeing. There's a danger it'll all be woke. I've heard rumours it will feature ginger-haired replicants who are fighting for equality on a world run by disabled ethnic minority trans replicants." Oh, yeah, if they want to go broke, let them. Charles says, "Woke or not, it'll definitely be bland and full of crappy CGI. Disney's primarily a children's content maker, so any actual horror will be watered down into disposable cookie-cutter action with an alien coat of paint, bad acting and bad script. Probably, guys, yeah. As for the woke stuff, you know, there's actually I think the penny's finally dropped, or maybe the continuous empty cinema seats are just getting too much. There's a new video come out. It's like a Viking video. It's got Björk in it, of all people. And guess what? The entire cast is white. Yeah, I forgot what it's called, actually. Let me just have a look. Film with Björk in. I know she was in Dancer in the Dark. Film with Björk in. I think it's The Northman, yes. Dancer in the Dark, and this is The Northman. I think that's it. In theaters, April. Yeah, it's coming. I've got to watch that. I'll watch it just because it's gonna drive the lovies crazy, isn't it? They're all white. They're white. They're white. Oh. Well, it's set in medieval Scandinavia. What would you expect people to be? It's like the Chernobyl series of Netflix. You know, they're all white. Everyone in it's white. It's set in 1986 in Ukraine. What do you expect people to be? Oh, anyway, Gary carries on here. Disney are apparently in crisis mode thanks to falling profits from woke productions. Good. Good. They deserve it. A recent leak to Doomcock. Doomcock, that's a good name. A recent leak to Doomcock detailed a meeting at Disney in Los Angeles where employers and higher-ups were told that there would be no more lefty nonsense at Disney. If they had a problem with it, they'd be welcome to leave. Strangely enough, Pablo Hidalgo, who was one of the senior Star Wars guys and notorious lefty, has reportedly been retired by Disney in order to shut him up. They finally realised that woke means broke. It's taken them a long time, Gary. It's taken millions of empty cinema seats. It's taken, no doubt, lots of angry phone calls from the shareholders saying, "What's happening to our money?" I know there's a lot of black pillars out there saying, "Oh, they didn't go broke. they don't care." But at the end of the day, they can't function without bums on seats. And I do think the penny is dropping. I do. The latest Ghostbusters film, I've not seen it, but Dave Cullen likes it. Apparently, it's not very PC. You know, it has an all-male cast, things like that. Maybe at some point they are going to start having funding problems, and that's a good sign. It means that people, the viewers don't like this stuff. Viewers know when they're being patronised. Pablo Hidalgo was in big trouble because he's actually, I think he's a TERF, isn't he? Didn't he say? I think he had trouble with the trans people because he's a TERF. So he's gone the same way with J.K. Rowling, I heard. I can't remember the details of it, but I think it was him. He was getting in trouble. Charles says underneath, when Doomcock gets involved, then it's all over. I guess they were going after the woke dollar. Who the hell is Doomcock? I guess they were going after the woke dollar, thinking there were millions of them. In fact, it's 3 woke people who are very loud about it. Yeah, that's the thing. I think the wokies actually, they punch well above their weight and they don't punch very hard when they actually have to punch because they are more mouth. It's typical little dog syndrome. I know this little dog actually. I take him for walks. He's a tiny little. He's like a miniature border terrier, but he barks so loudly it hurts my ears. He's this tiny little thing, and I think the wokies are very much like that. When you stand up to them, they just shrink. This is why it frustrates me that people give in to them all the time. Maybe the tide is turning in that respect. Gary says to Charles, "Yeah, this is what they don't understand. The woke are few, but they are loud." Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, nuclear fusion live stream. Oh, here we go. Hugo Rune is a timestamp. Yeah. Hugo Rune's now going to start yelling at me. That's all right. If I'm wrong there, then I'm wrong. But it's the reaction that's supposed to be in the heart. All right. I think it's the same sort of thing we were talking about before, weren't we? But anyway, Hugo says here. He says here. Nice one, Ben. 2112 onwards. You know I will point out that you're missing a part of reality. Charge. That's what the powers the sun and all the planets. The 95% dark stuff they can't identify is charge. By the way, Ben, sorry I missed the broadcast. Family. I only joined at the end, hence my comments now. Oh, no problem, mate. We missed you, Hugo, but I hope you'll be in the live stream tonight. Mind you, you'll be watching this after the live stream, so I can't really say. Hugo says here, well, also on Nuclear Fusion live stream. Yes, Ben, around the 27 minutes onwards, they kept promising 10 years' time. 50 years now, Ben, and they still can't do fusion. Perhaps their model of reality is missing something. As I said below, it is to them dark matter stroke energy, but I see it as charge. It is charge that powers the sun and all the planets. Yeah, so it could be Hugo that at some point that's going to drop. I think what's going to happen is once the Tesla stuff comes out, which will probably be before they get fusion done, it's going to make the whole project really unnecessary, because it'll then be an obsolete energy generating system, and they'll probably turn the half-built ITER into an ice rink. Vladimir Vlasov says underneath, there will be no US leadership in commercial thermonuclear power for a very long time. Why not? Existing fusion reactors and new ones under development are a failure, a dead end. These reactors will never produce a commercial heat. Scientists don't know or understand how to make a commercial fusion reactor, so they promise a reactor in 20 or 30 years. They don't understand the physical conditions needed in a commercial fusion reactor. There is another way to quickly build a commercial fusion reactor. The technology has been developed for a commercial fusion reactor that can be built in 2 years. Oh, right, Vladimir, what's this? Fusion power, all right. Vladimir Vlasov, all right. Let's have a look at your channel. What's on the look here? Oh, wicked. I'm going to give you, this is the channel anyway, I'll just show it to you. Here we go. Can you see that? Yeah. And that's the video. I'll give him a sub. There you go. I'll watch that later. There you go. That's Vladimir Vlasov's channel. There you go, mate. You sound like a Russian guy. As you can see, I'm not anti-Russian like so many of my countrymen. I hope you don't think we're all Russian bashers. You know, it's like the way they're talking about Russia nowadays is just unbelievable. Well, I cover that in another video, Vladimir. So, Nuclear Fusion live stream. Hugo Rune said, "Yes, Ben. Around. Oh, sorry, I've done that one. Same video. Hugo Rune says, "Damn, I wish I caught this broadcast live. I get so many mentions. I would have been live on your show." Oh, Hugo, yeah, we always suppose we're going to do an interview, aren't we? Yeah. Maybe we could do that. Nuclear Fusion. Do it on Skype or something. Charles says, sorry I missed this one live. Catching up now. I hope you don't disappoint the tinfoil hat buffoonery even a little bit. You wouldn't do that to me, right? Oh, Charles, would I dare? Would I dare? We missed you in live chat anyway, but yeah, I wouldn't disappoint. No way. Hugo Rune says 3646 onwards, 3946 onwards. Onward, you see, Ben. How close is nuclear fusion power? 50 years. And then what? Another 10 years, another 10. Think fusion powers the sun, they're missing the dark stuff. Oh, yeah, the dark matter, that's right. And then Hugo Rune says, onward, you say, stick your cathodes in water. What about the anodes? What you should have said is electrodes being one anode, another cathode. All right, you are. Sorry, I got that bit wrong. I just watched the thing with Scotty, you know, a fire from water, and I just picked up a few words. But electrodes, yeah. And the water is actually deuterium. And yeah, here we go. What's next? Nuclear fusion power. Carla Hernandez says, please look into Y Shield HSF Please keep your family safe. What's this? Paint. Something paint. Why shield HSF of paint? What's that? I'll just put it into Google a moment. Here we go. Oh right, it's standard shielding paint. Why shield paint? Oh right. Shielding paint for shielding high-frequency radiation and low-frequency electric fields. Solvent-free, breathable, plasticizer-free, low emission. All right, well, that could come in handy, Carla, so thank you very much. I will do my best. UFO Disclosure 2021, it could happen any time. Oh, blimey. Anyway, Liam Nicklin, as you know, you should watch the next one, Liam. What's it? Hang on. Oh, I've got to go back to my... Let me go back to my clipboard because I was cutting and pasting stuff there. Okay. Hi, Ben. I agree with your comment about never being able to defeat an enemy that possesses superior technology. But the Mujahideen defeated the Soviet Empire with inferior technology, and also the Viet Cong defeated America with inferior methods. So surprises can happen. I think victory in war is more about mind than matter. Just a thought. Yeah, I think I got that bit wrong there, Liam. You know, enemies of higher technology have been defeated. I mean, Germany in World War II had a massive technological advantage on the rest of the world. They had jet power. They had jet engines. They had a rocket engine. They had rocket propelled missiles, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, the V2, the Doodle Bug, and that's before we even get into the Bell and the Beehive and stuff like that, which takes it up to another level. Yeah, I mean I think willpower is an enormous thing. Obviously, with the Afghan and the Vietnamese, they were kind of. It's like that thing about that saying about the guy who says there's nothing more dangerous than going for a man who wants to be left alone, because then you force them to change, and they become far more fierce. The Americans didn't really. The Americans were like they were drafting kids out of school, sending them over there. Very often these weren't professional soldiers, and they were getting killed. And the people at home were very, very upset about it. There was huge demonstrations against the war. The Vietnamese, they just wanted to be left alone. Most of them. I mean, I know there was like a communist agenda behind it, but most of the people who fought, they just wanted to be left alone. I've listened to interviews with them, and they just said, "Look, we just didn't want these people in our country. These were invaders. We didn't want them in our country." Same with the Mujahideen. I mean, we know that the Mujahideen turned into something different because the CIA made sure of that. To begin with, the Russians were like bombing their villages and things like that, and they got angry about it, as anyone would. Nuclear fusion, Marky Boy. I had to stay in Saturday night for family reasons. Not a good situation, but then a live broadcast by Ben. Superb. I did spend my time in the chat, so I'll listen to this again. Nice one. Oh, I hope you do like it, Marky Boy. I do. A nuclear fusion. Charles, Liberace lives. I'm so happy. Do you know what? I kind of couldn't help missing him, It was quite a relief when he started playing again. I've not heard him play for ages. Nuclear fusion. Charles, no such thing as cold fusion. It's blathering nonsense, even more so if Andrew Johnson says this exists. Well, whether Andrew Johnson says it exists or not is not really relevant, although he's usually right about most things. The fact that he's a twat, and I can't stand him personally, has got nothing to do with it. But it's not blathering nonsense. There is such a thing as cold fusion. And Steve Mumbling says, no point trying to educate him, Charles. He has no interest in the truth. Really? Well, Steve, you put a lot of effort into trying to educate me, don't you? Charles says to Steve, no more value to it than one of Carla Nipton's 1970 Doctor Who props. Oh, I love the old type props, Charles. I love Blake Seven and all those old style science fiction series. They're so great. The old cardboard spaceships and everything. Oh, you can't beat them. Vladimir Vlasov says underneath, there will be no US leadership in... Oh, right, okay. He's just repeating the same comment he made before. Fair enough. I've already had a look at your video, Vladimir, so thanks for posting that. Your channel looks very interesting. I've subbed to it. So I'm keen to see what you know about nuclear fusion. Same video. Charles says on this, Ilya Kuryakin. Well, that proves it. Complete fiction. Ilya Kuryakin was he was one of the men from Uncle, wasn't he? What was it? Ilya Kuryakin and Napoleon Solo. Do you remember the men from Uncle? That was a good film. Those are good films. Old I forgot the name of the actors now. Very famous actors were in it. Carl Mumford says on the Alderborough platform. Well, it's a nice old one here. Here we go. It's a timestamp.
Look at these buildings here. There's a cathedral. It's incredible. They're so.
All right, I think that's Angel Hill in Bury St Edmunds. Oh, right, yeah. I found out later on. I didn't even know which town we were in. I found out later it was Bury St Edmunds. Yeah. And Carl says here, Brian, a street preacher friend of mine, often gives his message there. All right, Carl. It was a lovely town. I had a fantastic fish and chips, bowl of fish and chips and everything. Very nice indeed. Just what we needed. Charles says, here we go. Released March 9, 2019. This is a nuclear fusion live stream. Cold fusion, anatomy of a scientific fraud. I'll give you the short version. It was a scam to get grant money from the US Department of Energy. All these free energy spruikers, stop using Steve Bumbling's word, have the same motivation. Don't they, Ben? No, they don't, Charles. Now, I've heard of this. Cold fusion. And hang on, let's have a look. Because I have cold fusion, anatomy of scientific fraud. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, here we. Oh, it's coloured, which means I've already read it. Right, yeah, I've already read this. I can't remember it, but I know I've read it because you see, like, it's coloured purple on Google, which means it's a page I've clicked before. It's in my history, so it's a different colour. Oh God, I can't remember what it says, but I have read it. I have read it, Charles. But perhaps, I mean, you say it's just saying the short version. It was a scam to get grant money from the U.S. Department of Energy. Well, yeah, the long version is really what we're looking for, and I have actually read that, and I didn't get that impression. I know that they said, oh, I'll have to read it again, won't I? I'll read it after the other things you want me to read about Pallades, and I'll read them then. Right, the afterlife, a second reply to Stefan Molyneux, and it's Carl Mumford who says here, it's appointed for men once to die, after which they will have to give account. Okay, click read more. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is a there's a large number of Bible quotes here: Corinthians, Revelation, Hebrews. The foundation is Paul speaking, upon which we build. Is Christ's death and resurrection, by which our sins are forgiven. This we have nothing to boast of personally, because Christ did it all. However, having been saved through Christ's sacrifice, we do good works, for which we will receive rewards, though some, having done no good work, shall not enter Christ's millennium kingdom, suffer loss, though shall be saved, not cast into hell. Carl, I don't share your beliefs, I don't, but I appreciate your input on this. Do you have any specific comments about any of the points I bring up in the video? Because I'd be keen to know what you have to say there. Ukraine crisis. Charles, first comment again. Come on, where's the competition? Old Gaffer says, how can we beat the all-seeing eye? Exactly. His mind powers do it for him. His mind powers. Anyone who gets in there before him, he'll do them, man. He'll do them. He'll play golf with you and slaughter you. Slaughter you. Charles, next time I'll wait half an hour so you can bag it. Charles says to Crafty Nice, oh, finally showed up, did you? Old Gaffer, making an hour, I'm sort of a relaxed dude. Charles, an hour it is, Charles says here to Crafty. I guess most people have never heard of being fashionable. I think Crafty might have said something about fashionable lateness. Steve, I take it you live your life on the internet. Not entirely, Steve. I do mostly. My social life is on pretty much. Well, what do you expect me to do? I mean, it's difficult to go out to pubs with people and talk about UFOs and ghosts and underground bases with lizards in, isn't it? I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? So I don't live my life on the internet. I have a job. I'm self-employed. I do work, from which I don't ever talk about anything like this. And then I come home and I talk about things like this. Old Gaffer says, I said a relaxed Jude to do to Project Camelot. Steve mumbling. Charles says to Steve, I'm not real Steve, I'm just in Ben's mind. Like most things, his buffoonery became so vast that it became sentient, and here I am. Yes, Charles is a tulpa that I created sometime in the mid-2000s when I started getting into crop circles and things. Old Gaffer says George Burns then to Charles. I don't know what that means. Ukraine crisis. Charles says, wait and see, Ben. Ukraine itself are not even worried and are pretty much taking the piss out of Putin for posturing. Putin has a small schlong, so he's compensating. You know, Charles, I thought that too. I mean, obviously, this was 2 weeks ago you wrote this. A lot's happened since then, hasn't it? And I myself said in this video I didn't think there would be an invasion, and we were both wrong there. Supreme Enlightened Tramp says here, the whole world now knows what a bunch of gangsters the Russian government really is. It's in no doubt. Well, Supreme Enlightened Tramp, I don't believe that's the case. I think the bunch of gangsters is on the other side, but there you go. We'll see, won't we? Charles says, he's after the women. Have you been to Ukraine and seen some of those women? It makes Putin feel like you have no. I've never been to Ukraine. Nuclear fusion live stream. TK, a free energy device that needs a start. Have to think about that. Well, it might need somebody to get it going. You know, like once you get it going, that's when the effect kicks in with someone like the Podklefnov spinning discs. You know, you got to start. You got to get them spinning first. But once you have that power, I mean, you can store it in a battery once you get the thing going. So, but to get it start the system first time, you have to maybe have an electric motor or something, or a petrol engine. And TK says, or just ask a ghost if you don't have electricity, as I heard ghosts can easily start free energy devices just with their ghost juices. Well, I'm sure Professor Brian Cox wouldn't think much of that, but I don't give a shit what Professor Brian Cox thinks about anything. Ukraine crisis, Jackdaw. NATO, Jackdaw says, NATO, no action, talk only. Do you think they should start lobbing missiles or something then? Diego Vera says here, the letter Z on the Russian tanks is 33 in italics. Is it? I saw that like, the Z has become kind of symbolic. I don't know. It's to do actually with the fact that they use a lot of the same equipment. Like, for example, excuse me, Ukraine and Russia have the same tanks, you know, something like that. So they don't want to get them mixed up. Same video, Nihilist Lives Matter. Asteroids wiped out the dinosaurs. Emlyn-Jones says, with the toxic mix of Tory austerity and Boris's dog whistling to bigots, it's a sad inevitability that a far-right asteroid would eventually commit dinophobic terrorism. You're getting a love art for that. I'm almost surprised if that little sod thinks that, doesn't he? Kerry, Wooly. There is a cure. Hands, remote, off. Oh. Well, it's a bit, you know, it's interesting how they, you know, the C word goes away and then this just wheels in to take its place. It's like that meme, there's a Batman slapping meme where Robin goes, oh, I hate the un-V-worded people, and Batman goes, slap, we're hating Russians now. Tommy Time Television says here, Nukem, I say, humans have done more damage and been more of a predator to the Earth than dinosaurs. We don't deserve to be here. We don't live like other 8 billion species. We're a disgrace to this planet. We create life to slaughter it for food. We should all go together in a catastrophic event. Well, Tommy, that's not, excuse me. You're being unfair to us. You really are. Humans are not, this is not the way we are. It's not the way we're naturally meant to be. We didn't evolve to be this way. This is the Illuminati. The Illuminati essentially made us like this, and we can make ourselves differently. Just think what happened if we had Terra Preta and free energy, things like that. We wouldn't be damaging the environment anymore. There wouldn't be poverty. I've talked about this in other videos. Charles says underneath, what's this we business? I spent my entire career promoting the virtues of organic gardening, and anyone who does that is going to get slaughtered when civilization collapses. Yes, you promote the virtues of it, Charles, because they're in big trouble because you haven't got one. TTT says, sorry, ignore my rant. All right, Tommy, if you insist. But, you know, I do have a reply to you. It's an interesting point you made. Charles says to TTT, you're all a bunch of Bill Ryans. Every single one of you's like Bill Ryans. Hamburgers with legs. Hamburgers with legs. Triple T says, cheers for the compliment. And Triple T also says, I don't eat lamb anymore, if that's any consolation. Yeah, what happened is, I saw a documentary on lamb slaughter. I'm never that hungry, so to take a little lamb jumping for joy next to its mum and put it through a terrifying slaughter and make it known to the poor sod prior to its slaughter. Oh, yeah. Charles says to Triple T, same here for same reasons. My diet has changed considerably over the years. Yeah, me too, I think. Steve says, penniless no-hopers always say that. Oh. Is that a Triple T? Well, as you know, I disagree with Triple T, but some people who say that, you know, really do care. They believe it. They believe the way our life is now is inevitable, and there's no other possible way. It's just human nature, mate. It's human nature. Triple T says, lol, and people have always wanted to see a mushroom cloud in real life. Well, I don't. Charles says to Triple T, you can't win this one. I've seen Steve take down decades-old conspiracy narratives with just 2 words, just 2. And we know what those are. Steaming pile. Triple T, sounds like cranky old Putin on weed. Charles, Ben has the right hairstyle, but I don't think he smokes weed. I don't. I've done it twice. I smoked weed twice. Triple T says to Charles, oh, you're dead funny. Triple T, I say, turn the screw on this intimidating bully very slowly until his threats never come to plants. Slowly but surely we will win. But it's not Putin's fault, as I explained. He's not the bad guy in this. I think it's awful that this has happened, this invasion. He's done this. I mean, is it really necessary? Because for the sake of us all, you know, Ukraine has to be cleaned up. But this way? Charles, I'm a staunch mumblingite who is partial to a good dose of buffoonery. Yeah, you'd have to be to watch this, wouldn't you? Ukraine crisis. Steve, Putin. All right, this is like Elizondo needs to take a dump or get off the pot. It's getting boring. Yeah. And Charles says, Elizondo's already left a steaming pile. You know, it's funny, like, because I remember you writing that. I did spot the comment, Steve, and I actually think you're correct. Yes, I'm agreeing with Steve mumbling. Yes, and it wasn't Richard D. Hall who could take the credit this time. You know, Elizondo, you saying Elizondo needs to take a dump or get off the pot. It's, yeah, I mean, I'm losing interest in it, unfortunately. You may have noticed that in my UFO disclosure 2022 year of the nudge, and I did actually say I don't think there's going to be UFO disclosure this year. I'm finding it boring too, Steve, because I mean I do listen to Ryan Sprague's show, Somewhere in the Skies, and he has Mel and Elizondo on the other day. They are getting repetitive. They keep saying something's coming. Yeah, we're going to have disclosure, and then it's about a couple of years later, we're still waiting and still saying the same thing. It's like, yeah, I've reached the point where I'm starting to think, well, come on, get on with it, guys. Get on with it, or put up or shut up, because I am losing interest in this whole thing. Not my general interest in UFOs, but all this new ufology is starting to ring a bit hollow, to be honest. We have a thread here. Ukraine crisis. Steve says, if Russian tanks were rolling through Oxford, you would be cheering. Your grip on reality is far worse than I thought. Steve, it depends on, you know, I don't like the idea of invasion. Yet, how are we supposed to get rid of this deep state occupation? How are we supposed to do it with no outside help? Can we build our own tanks? And David says here, what a ridiculous non sequitur. Absolutely right, David, because, you know, firstly, Steve actually is not incorrect. Under certain circumstances, I would be cheering in that situation. But it's not. I haven't lost my grip on reality. I've said, how are we supposed to remove this deep state occupation? How are we supposed to keep going and see the Illuminati just everywhere? And how do we get rid of them? How do we get rid of the Illuminati? It's just like, oh, don't worry if we just sort of like sit. If we, I don't think we're gonna. It's going to take something very drastic to unseat the Illuminati in this world. Very drastic indeed. They've been here for 5,000 years. Charles says, why, Steve? Non sequiturs are supposed to be ridiculous, aren't they? TT. Triple T. Right. I know it's this mumbling guy. He's like the contrary oddball in the pub everyone avoids. Charles. Triple T. Steve is the gold among the tinfoil. Yeah. He's straight off the lunar module descent stage. Triple T has says to Charles, he has a fixation for Ben, doesn't he? Considering there are thousands of conspiranoids out there, he does a bit. Triple T, yeah, he's always there. He went away for a while, and I rather missed him. Charles says to Triple T, Steve and Ben are hard to explain. You have the might of mumblingism and the banquet of buffoonery. It's like a force of nature. I know. He can't resist it. I've got to do another reply video to Steve, I really do. Triple T says to Charles, oh, well, it's entertaining at the end of the day. Oh, that's the main thing, as long as you're entertained. Are you not entertained? Charles, it was actually Ben who wanted Steve to come back. He holds out the hope that one day he could beat the mumbling, kind of like Russia, wanting to annex Afghanistan and getting thwarted every time. I suppose. It's, I think we're always. I can best the mumbling. I don't think I'll ever. Well, I think I have bested the mumbling, you see, but he doesn't agree. It's the thing where we sort of talk on cross purposes a bit. Ukraine crisis. Tim Simpson. Russia is still using reactive armor on tanks, a bit out of date and out of ideas. Watch the Global Hawk drones flying over the place for a week. If it goes to war, they ain't got a hope. Goodbye, Putin. Well, if NATO directly get involved, no, they don't. Yet at the same time, neither does NATO, because it'll be fatal for both sides. John Tinkin says on Ukraine crisis, I've been dreading watching this video. Let's face it, the nature of woo-woo topics like UFOs, etc. are total unknowns to most of us, so I'm happy to watch commentators like Ben take everything with a pinch of salt and enjoy the show. It's reassuring that Ben's approach to Ukraine displays all the doubts and cynicism the mainstream narrative deserves. My respect for Ben has increased, and my faith in his woo-woo comments is boosted. I put a love heart on that, John. Thank you very much. I'm glad you think so. Yeah, I am sort of like, I'm trying to take a step back from this and trying to just, what I can't, you see, what I don't have the power to change, I just have to observe and make the most of it, I think, you know. It's a shame, but yeah. Darren Retto says on Ukraine crisis, strange how this is interfering with the scheduled opening of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which will slash gas prices across Western Europe. Russia's gas monopoly, Gazprom, was set to be a dominant in energy supply, which would be a massive blow to American and British suppliers. Just follow who would lose out if there wasn't a war. Yeah, I do. It could be there's some kind of four-dimensional chess going on. I mean, on Sargon of Akkad show, podcast of the Lotus Eaters, the two presenters were suggesting that maybe Putin himself is playing his own very, very detailed kind of skeevy scam against the West by provoking action like this. I don't know, but there's no doubt that Nord Stream 2 is part of these sanctions. I mean, the sanction is basically a trade embargo. It's so strict. I mean, even I joked about them when they said they were going to stop Russian vodka, so, stop vodka coming into the country. I joked about that. I really did. But they've done it now. They've actually done it. You can get vodka, but it only comes from the licensed distilleries in domestic Western countries. Oh, anyway. Darren Retto says underneath, Nord Stream 2 pipeline has been supported by Germany despite oppositions from countries such as the US, UK, Poland, Ukraine. It cost 10 billion, 8.4 billion. That's partly, though, because I must say that Germany has been basically touting Russian gas back to the Poles, back along the same pipeline at an inflated price. So that has something to do with it. They've made a lot of money on the side off of the pipeline. Darren continues. But following Mr. Putin's order to send troops into the rebel-held Ukrainian region of Donetsk and Luhansk, well, he's gone further than that now, Germany announced it was suspending the process of giving the pipeline between it and Russia an operating license, effectively stopping the project until further notice. Yeah, that's it basically. Yeah, that's it. It's bad, isn't it? Jeff Sperry says on Flat Earth, very interesting video, Ben. Can I ask what your opinions are on John Hamer's work? John Hamer. I've heard that name. Someone else was asking about John Hamer. Oh yeah, JFK. Yeah. Oh, he was on. He was on. What was that show? Was it? It wasn't Howard Hughes, The Unexplained. It was something else. Wish I could remember these things. American Canadian historian and mapmaker. The Latter-day Saints movement. Yeah. Books on. Right. I don't know much about him, apart from the people have been. Several people have asked me about this. You put this on the Flat Earth video. I don't know if he's connected to the Flat Earth thing. Ukraine crisis. Mark Crane says, "Thank you. You're welcome, Mark. Thank you very. You're welcome." Ukraine crisis. Simon Jandrel says, "Think of the humans who called the conspiracy world crazy and detached from society. I look at all this shit and think to myself, well, WTF? And what do we have so far? A police state, Brave New World, and now this shit. You can't make this shit up. I even find it overwhelming and jaw-dropping. I mean, what the fuck?" And Simon's, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, being a conspiracy theorist in this world, Simon, at the moment, is rather like a very long told-you-so session, isn't it? I mean, this is why I still think there's going to be a breakthrough with the UFOs at some point. Simon says here on the same video, "Crazy times. Good name for a newspaper. Somebody send me back to a time in the 80s and no fucking internet. Anyone got a time travel device they don't want?" Oh dear. I've become keen on the internet now, but I was watching this 1990s crop circle video, and there was internet in those days, but it wasn't as good as it is today. But I just felt so damn nostalgic. I really did. Oh, it's wonderful. It's Crop Circle's the ultimate undercover investigation, and it's so like, wow. It's just, ooh. And Steve here says, right, this is I think when the invasion started, and of course which I said wouldn't happen. "Any comment on how your downtrodden hero is doing, Ben?" Well, Steve, I actually replied, "Check HPANWO Voice for an article I posted today. I'm also going to do a live stream at the weekend, and I've done a lot more. I've done an entire portal. Let me just show you the portal I've made. Ukraine War Portal. Let me just show it to you. It's on the main HPANWO site. There you go. Ukraine War Portal. There's the URL. And there's all these things down here. HPANWO Voice TV Radio and all these different things. Now into an easy, comprehensible, single one-stop shop link I can send you to. A single point of reference for everything to do with this situation. I'll be adding the live stream tonight onto that. Right. Charles says, "Which one? Ben has lots of downtrodden heroes." Steve says, "Looks like your Russian language lessons will come in handy. Of course, it could be just a conspiracy designed to make all the illegal immigrants flee the UK." I don't think they're that crafty, Steve. Anyway, Horioshos placebo. David Smith said, "I wish I could flee the UK." Charles says to me, "As of today, it looks like things are going to plan for Putin. Something like 500 of his troops have been killed, and he lost some key targets. Hopefully his own army will depose him if this carries on." Well, depending, we don't know how much of the news from the war is true or false, but yeah, I mean, it's obviously he hasn't captured Kiev. Steve Mumbling says, "The Ukrainian Air Force flies Su-27s. These are extremely capable aircraft, and they could send half a dozen of these into Russia. With their range and speed, they could destroy the Kremlin with Putin in it and return to Ukraine in less than 1 hour. The Russian civilian population wouldn't report them flying low over Russia because Su-27s are made in Russia. They would think they were friendly aircraft, either returning from going to Ukraine and carrying out Putin's orders. Putin would never expect something as bold as that. It would take the Russians by complete surprise, and it will be all over, done and dusted. New business. Steve, I don't think Putin is in the Kremlin right now. He's in some kind of bunker somewhere. But yeah, that is possible. But if they did that, what would happen? I mean, there would probably be a nuclear bombardment of Ukraine. Charles said, wouldn't the radar signature be recognised immediately, though as not being used by Russian military? Jack Daw to Steve. They very well could, Steve, but don't forget where these aircraft were made, and the Su-27s is now the new Russian top dog. There's also the fact that if they were like if they were on emission control, then that would be suspicious, and maybe the electronics would give them away. I don't know. Steve says to Jack, in this sort of situation, you have to do the best you can with what you've got. In World War II, the opposing equipment was rarely evenly matched. Yeah, I made that point earlier about Germany being far superior. Steve says to Charles, they're Russian aircraft, so the radar signature should look familiar. The IFF would be the tricky part. They would just have to fly under the radar. A long time ago, the US wanted to test their air defences, so they asked the RAF to nuke them. They knew when they were coming in and grounded every civilian aircraft of the day. The RAF still succeeded in using Vulcan bombers. The US was surprised by this and repeated the test the following year. The RAF still nuked them. Google it. It's an interesting read. I will do, mate, but you know, that sort of thing is quite dangerous because unless everyone knows it's part of an exercise. However, they did. I said they grounded the civilian aircraft, so it was obviously an official exercise. Charles says to Steve, mumbling, that is really surprising, as I'd expect the Vulcans to have a large radar return. Imagine what could be done with a modified jump jet. It's really scary. David Smith says to Steve, mumbling, come on, Steve, we all know they're made out of holograms. Putin is going to stop the New World Order and hold talks with the friendly aliens to give us free energy. It's the only logical explanation. Well, David, leaving aside your sarcasm there, I think there may be a bit of truth in that. Although I don't think the planes are made out of holograms. Putin may well stop the New World Order. That may well be his intention. As for the friendly aliens, he probably knows that there are aliens. He may well do disclosure just as a play a card. I mean, it'd be ironic if 2022 was the year of disclosure when I predicted it wouldn't be, but there you go. I'll live with that. But giving us free energy, I think people can do that. We don't need aliens to do that. BBC and Mind Control, another old video. Jeff Sperry. Very thought-provoking, Ben, and quite prophetic when you think that this talk you gave was only 4 years ago. Now, seeing how things have turned out, the mind control of the masses, the BBC, BLM, LGBT, and other alphabet people, perhaps you could do an update show on these subjects. Well, Jeff, I'm glad you went back to this old video, and I'm actually thinking of doing a talk like this for another group. When I'm invited to do so, I will, with an update, like you said, because there's definitely needs to be one. Ukraine crisis. Sean Stone, SSSS123. I know people in Ukraine, and this is real, you idiots. It's okay for you sat in your house in Oxford being an expert with all your daft conspiracy theories. You'd be singing from a different hymn sheet if you were in Ukraine. You're an absolute divvy, ha 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 ha. Well, that's an interesting, very, very carefully crafted scientific, logical treatise there. I'm not sure how I can rebut it, but so I know people in Ukraine too, and they tell a different story. And what's wrong with being sat in my house and being an expert? I'm the one who could end up under a nuclear missile, and my conspiracies are not daft. If I were in Ukraine right now, I'd be singing from whatever hymn sheet was factual. I hope I'd have the courage to do that. Ukraine crisis. If anyone says false flag, I'll murder them, says Charles from Project Camelot. Well, I don't want you to slaughter me and do me, you know, but I did actually state this was not a false flag, Charles, didn't I? So that's not because I'm worried about you stealing my organic garden. It's because it just happens to be what I think. Ukraine crisis, TK. Using the BBC website for the latest information about world events, question mark. Well, yes, Steve. Yes, TK. I only did that really as an example of what was being reported, and I commented on what was being reported and explained how I didn't think it was valid. However, if you stick around for the live stream later, I'll go into that in a bit more detail, although you'll have watched this by then. Reply to comments 40, part 1 of 2. Courtney Welch. Well done, keep going. I promote my videos with Utify and recommend to you. Oh, thank you, Courtney. Much appreciated, Courtney Welch. Thank you very much. Best horror movies, A Hospital Porter Reacts, Liam Nicklin. Thank goodness it's nice to have a break from the whole Ukraine thing. The monsters in the mist are based on the old ones from the Cthulhu mythos of H.P. Lovecraft. The project is called Arrowhead, to pierce through to other dimensions. That's it, yeah, I remember the bit at the end. I didn't know it was based on a Lovecraft story. I mean, there are lots of things based on Lovecraft. I mean, he was very influential. You know, the spooky, mysterious stuff, you know, that's all Lovecraftian. Ukraine crisis, Steve Mumbling says, here's your Russian mates at work, Ben. All right, my Russian mates. Oh, right. Oh, I saw this, yeah. This is a tank that actually runs over a car in Kiev. The driver survives, amazingly. He ducked and yeah, that was awful. That was awful. Steve, that was an awful thing to see, and I'm glad the driver's all right. It appears that he didn't deliberately run over the car, apparently. He was apparently he thought he saw a guy with a missile. But I'm not happy this invasion's happened, Steve. I'm not happy. It's not what I wanted to happen, as I explained. Vladimir Vlasov is now repeating the same on Nuclear Fusion live stream, repeating the same point he made, the same comment. He's cut and pasted it about his nuclear fusion thing. Vladimir, thank you very much, mate. I appreciate that. We get the message, and I'm going to check out your channel with great interest. David Schultz, hello, David. Ukraine invasion live stream, new video. Ben, as I was listening to your talk at the end of the show, this quote to mind came to mind as follows. Do I have a message? Yes, I do. Here's my message. As scary as the world is, and it is merely a ride. Yes. And that's Bill Hicks, of course. Yes, it's just a ride, like a ride in an amusement park. People have been on the ride. Oh, and there goes my countdown, an online countdown. It's good to know that exists. Yes. Bill Hicks it's just a choice right now between fear and love. Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm going to call that an hour, and I'll come back for the third hour very shortly.